Jay, you gonna have Blake on your bike, man? Any chances of picking up Blake Lively and having her on the back of this?
Never happened.
Hey, Justin Baldoni might have a better chance as a guy, man.
Everybody has a better chance.
Wow.
Jay Leno just publicly humiliated Blake Lively on air, roasting her so harshly that he joked even strangers have a better chance with him than she does. This comes as the narrative Blake created around her alleged smear campaign starts to unravel. Her previous attempt to discredit Justin Baldwin has already collapsed, built on stolen texts, cuestionables subpoenas, and exposed lies. Now, even Hollywood seems unwilling to cover for her anymore.
So this means that the entire narrative that Blake Lively created about this smear campaign could...
You know things are bad when even Jay Leno, Hollywood's ultimate Mr. Nice Guy, the car-collecting dad joke-cracking legend, can't hold back. This is a man who's been in the industry for decades, rarely takes sides, always keeps it friendly, and still finds time to ride around on his motorcycles like the chillest grandpa alive. And yet, even he couldn't resist roasting Blake Lively into the ground. That's how messy this whole situation has become for her.
Wow. He is saying what everybody else is thinking right now. No one wants to have Blake Lively on their bike. That's for sure.
Blake Lively, Hollywood's so-called sweetheart, has spent years playing the role of America's golden girl butt behind the scenes. She's allegedly been orchestrating one of the most desperate smear campaigns this town has seen. And now, it's finally blowing up in her face.
Everyone knows who Jay Leno is. And what's special about Jay Leno is that everyone likes him. He's a very sympathetic guy. I've met so many people who said that Jay Leno...
Jay Leno didn't just brush Blake Lively off, he delivered a verbal nuke that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. In a moment that no one saw coming, he dropped a savage line on live air, saying something to the effect of, "Even random strangers have a better shot with me than Blake Lively?" That wasn't just a rejection, it was a public takedown, and coming from Leno, that's saying something. This is a man who has built his entire brand on being likable, neutral, and easygoing. He's the car-loving, denim-wearing, motorcycle-riding legend who's stayed largely out of Hollywood's messes for decades. Jay Leno is the guy who avoids drama like most people avoid traffic on the 405. He could have smiled, given a safe answer, or changed the subject with one of his signature dad jokes. But instead, he went all in. That kind of burn coming from someone as famously diplomatic as Leno says a lot. It signals just how far Blake Lively's reputation has fallen. When even Hollywood's nicest guy can't resist taking a swing, you know the narrative is shifting, and fast. The timing couldn't be worse for Blake, as her behind-the-scenes drama continues to unravel in the public eye.
So for him to say something like this about Blake Lively, I think is major, and it's really showing where Hollywood stands. Really, when it...
This isn't just shade. It's not some throwaway late-night monologue joke you forget by morning. This is a clear signal that even Hollywood's biggest names have had enough of Blake Lively's nonsense. That carefully curated image she's pushed for years, the sweet, charming, relatable actress. It's over, gone, burnt to a crisp. And the reason? A mountain of legal disasters she created, trying to micromanage her public image. We're talking bogus lawsuits, fake subpoenas, backroom manipulation, and a web of schemes so shady they make tabloid scandals look tame. Now, that whole house of cards is finally crashing down. Jay Leno's comment might seem like a small jab on the surface, but in Hollywood, that's code for she's done. When someone as dramaverse and universally liked as Leno decides to take a shot, it speaks volumes. It means the tide has turned. The whispers behind closed doors are getting louder, and Blake's grip on her Golden Girl narrative is slipping fast.
Yeah, so if you missed that, this photographer said to Jay Leno, "Any chance of you picking up Blake Lively on your bike?" And he said, "That would never happen."
And honestly, the way Jay Leno delivered that burn, chef's kiss, it all went down during a casual paparazzi run in, one of those unplanned Hollywood moments where celebs are caught off guard. A photographer, clearly aware of the drama brewing, tossed out a loaded question. "Hey Jay, any chance we'll see Blake Lively riding on the back of one of your iconic bikes?" Innocent enough, right? Leno could have played it safe, smiled, deflected, or dropped a classic, "No comment." But he didn't. Without missing a beat, he fired back. That would never happen. Never. No laughter, no hesitation, just a flat-out ice-cold rejection. And coming from Jay Leno, that's brutal. This is a guy known for avoiding controversy, staying neutral, and keeping things light. So when he decides to throw a direct shot like that, it's not just a burn, it's a message. In Hollywood terms, that's basically a public execution. The fact that Leno didn't even try to soften the blow says everything about where Blake Lively now stands in the eyes of her peers.
And he said maybe Justin Baldoni has a better chance. And Jay Leno said everybody has a better chance than her.
And honestly, the way Leno delivered that burn.
But wait, it gets better. Jay Leno didn't stop at the burn. He actually brought up Justin Baldoni, yes, the same guy Blake's been desperately trying to drag through the mud with that crumbling smear campaign of hers. And Jay, he didn't hold back there either. He flat out said that everyone has a better shot than Blake. Random fans, the Uber driver, probably even the camera guy filming him apparently. They all have a higher chance of scoring a ride on one of Jay's bikes than Blake Lively. That's the level we've reached. Folks, she's not just losing control of the narrative, she's becoming the punchline. When Jay Leno, the famously friendly, zero-drama PR safe zone of a celebrity's roasting you casually to paparazzi, like it's no big deal, you know your public image is in flames. This isn't just a few bad headlines. It's the clearest sign yet that Blake Lively's carefully curated reputation is falling apart and Hollywood is done pretending otherwise.
You know, Hollywood is known to protecting its own until it doesn't. And when someone on the inside starts distancing themselves like he's doing here, I think that is a huge.
And let's be clear, Jay Leno isn't some celebrity known for stirring the pot. His entire brand is built on not rocking the boat. He's the laid-back guy who avoids Hollywood drama, keeps his head down, and spends his time geeking out over cars and motorcycles. So for him to take a public shot at Blake Lively, that's massive. It signals something bigger that even the behind-the-scenes crowd, the A-listers who usually stay silent and neutral, are done pretending. Blake's name, it's toxic now. But let's not act like this came out of nowhere. Blake Lively has been quietly engineering chaos behind the scenes for months, maybe even years. You want to talk manipulation? Let's talk about the Van Zin mess. The centerpiece of her unraveling scheme is a phony lawsuit filed through a shell company called Van Zin, yes, a shell company with Blake's name conveniently slapped onto the ownership papers created just to push a bogus legal strategy. Because apparently, when your reputation is circling the drain, the solution is to set up a shady corporate front, file a fake lawsuit, and pray no one connects the dots. Well, guess what? Everyone noticed, and now it's all falling apart publicly, spectacularly, and fast.
Little digs at her on talk shows, but not really anything like this. So, thank you, Jay Leno, for being on.
The lawsuit itself, a total scam. It wasn't filed against real people, targeted 10 unnamed individuals. That's right, just a bunch of generic John and Jane Does. Why? So they could justify issuing a shady subpoena to Stephanie Jones, a former employee at Jones Works. But let's be clear, this had nothing to do with justice or accountability. That subpoena was never about finding the truth. It was a backdoor move to access private information. Specifically, they were after Jennifer Abel's personal phone. And once they got it, jackpot. Texts, emails, private conversations, everything someone like Blake Lively could twist into her next fake victim narrative. It wasn't about righting a wrong. It was a strategic, manipulative play designed to gather ammo. Classic smear campaign tactics: build a bogus legal case, exploit the system to dig up dirt, and spin the story to fit the role of the misunderstood, wronged celebrity. But this time, the mask is slipping and people are finally starting to see the game for what it really is.
Following the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively drama.
Yeah, no, that doesn't really, that just seems silly to me. I don't know. I can't say. You know, California is on fire. I don't know how many people are coughing through the flames trying to follow Blake.
And here's the real kicker. The lawsuit. It disappeared the moment they got what they wanted. Dropped like a bad habit. No follow-up, no court battle, no real legal fight because it was never about justice. It was always about silencing critics and controlling the narrative. Plain and simple. Blake's fingerprints are all over this scheme. And now, reports are surfacing, linking both her and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, directly to Van Zin's ownership. So let's not pretend they were in the dark. Spare me the shocked reactions. They weren't just aware of this shady operation. They orchestrated it. Every move. Every step, This wasn't a rogue team gone wild, it was a calculated plan to protect an image that's now crumbling fast. And now that it's unraveling in public, the fallout is only just beginning.
Van Zandt and Blake Lively's team don't want anyone to see the subpoenas that were sent to Stephanie Jones. Just to remind everyone, what happened was that a company called Van Zandt all of a sudden sued 10 anonymous people that they call Joe Doe.
It's honestly embarrassing how sloppy they were. You'd think if you're running some backdoor legal scheme, you'd at least try to cover your tracks. But nope. As soon as this blew up, the connections started surfacing. Ryan Reynolds, supposedly Mr. Nice Guy himself, tied to this mess right alongside Blake. They thought they could run their little puppet show in the shadows, pulling strings, leaking private info, sabotaging reputations, all while playing the victims on glossy magazine covers. But the mask is slipping. The lies are catching up. And even Jay Leno. Yeah, he's not buying it.
And he's always being so nice to people. He's always waving, making jokes. I could just feel his vibe as well when I went to this.
You know it's over when the Hollywood elite, the very people who usually close ranks to protect their own, start backing away. That bike snub, it wasn't just a funny one-liner. It was a clear signal. Jay Leno doesn't waste his breath on nonsense. When he casually lets the world know Blake Lively isn't welcome on his bike or in his circle, it means even behind the scenes. People are jumping ship. The fake lawsuits, the weaponized subpoenas, the desperate attempts to control the press, it's all unraveling. And Blake has been exposed for exactly what she is.
He came over afterwards and offered me popcorn if I wanted to share his popcorn. The way he was talking to everyone, I was like, okay, Jay Leno is a really, really cool guy.
You know what's hilarious? Jay Leno saw the whole Blake Lively train wreck coming from miles away months before he publicly roasted her into oblivion. People had already tried to get him to weigh in on her legal disaster during one of those movie press events, where celebs sit around pretending everything's perfect while the PR machine quietly burns behind the scenes. A reporter casually slipped in a question about Blake's legal mess, hoping for a juicy soundbite. But DJ's reaction, man, it said everything.
But now Jay Leno has made his stand, and he's definitely not Team Blake Lively.
He dodged that question like a pro. You could practically see the discomfort crawling across his face. The man looked like someone just asked him to babysit a raccoon. He didn't defend her, didn't show support, barely even acknowledged the situation, and honestly, that silence was deafening. Jay Leno doesn't do controversy. Yet even then, he couldn't bring himself to fake support for Blake Lively. That's how cooked her reputation was even back then. And don't forget the context. This wasn't some quiet week where the biggest headline was a celebrity breakup. This was during the California wildfires. The entire state was literally burning. People were coughing through smoke, homes destroyed, and in the middle of all that, Blake's PR disaster was supposed to be what Jay cared about. Nope, he basically brushed it off like, we've got bigger things to worry about. Nobody gave a damn about Blake's overhyped drama, especially when it reeked of manipulation, and reek it did. You could read it all over Jay's face. He didn't need to say a word, his body language screamed, yeah, I see through this act. Turns out, he wasn't alone. Fast forward to the bike roast, and suddenly the gloves are off. That awkward hesitation from months ago has turned into open mockery. Even the people who stayed neutral, the ones who usually zip their mouths when scandals hit, are done covering for Blake's fragile little image, and honestly, it's no wonder her entire smear campaign against Justin Baldwin is collapsing faster than her fake victim routine. Blake built her case on one thing: stolen private messages. That's right, the so-called smoking gun meant to prove her epic victim story. It came from the shadiest subpoena in Hollywood history. Let's talk about that mess for a second. The only reason Blake even had those private texts and emails to wave around like evidence is because her team sneaked them through a sham subpoena. Baldwin's legal team, rightfully suspicious, demanded to see the full original subpoena documents. And surprise, Blake's team handed over selective, cherry-picked pieces. Classic manipulation move. It's like showing the judge half a puzzle and pretending the picture is complete.